Let's ride.
Like when you're getting walloped?
It's not something you want to go through, but if you ever go through it, it really, it's amazing that the destruction that the wind and water can do, the force that comes behind that.
Ian's storm surge swamped the barrier islands. The bridge to nearby Sanibel Island lays smashed and broken, stranding hundreds who ignored evacuation orders. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis didn't mince words when describing the destruction.
And it got hit with really biblical storm surge.
But Ian wasn't done. After crossing Florida, it regained hurricane strength before slamming into South Carolina Friday.
Oh man, it's washing it away!
The scope of the damage is not yet fully measurable.
15 minutes later.
We don't have places to go. We have no cars to get there.
There has been no communication. Nobody official has come onto the island to tell us what's going on.
Rescue efforts hampered by a lack of running water and power, a crisis for area hospitals forcing days of nonstop patient evacuations.
What was it like being up here? And
It was just a howling wind and rain.
Tom Lothamer shot this video while riding out the storm in the 7th floor of a Fort Myers high-rise. For days, he and dozens of other residents, mostly elderly, have been stranded.
what's the situation like with water, power, food?
There's no water, there's no electric, there's little food. The problem is you can't go get in your car because those are all wrecked. There's no place to buy gas, and you can't go to the grocery store because you can't walk there.
Assessors say the building has sustained at least $50 million in damage, just the beginning of a nightmare for homeowners in the region, with insurers estimating damage costs to be in the billions.
And there used to be mobile homes here.
And the storm isn't over. Rain is expected to hammer the Northeast all day today as both President Biden and the First Lady announce plans to visit Florida and Puerto Rico. Willie?
Hard to know even where to begin with that level of devastation. Steve Patterson in Fort Myers Beach, Florida for us. Steve, thanks so much.
Are you? Eventually.
Day.
Shannon, thanks so much for having me on today.
I know it was very important for you to get there on the ground and take a look around. You spent years as a firefighter, a first responder. How does that inform your assessment of what's going on the ground?
I think the biggest thing, Shannon, for me is I want to get down on the ground, see for myself what the impacts are, and talk to people and hear what they're struggling with and what they think their needs are going to be. You know, my time as a firefighter and a local emergency manager before, all disasters, they start and end at the local level. And so for me to be able to make sure we're providing the assistance they need, I need to hear from them and see for myself. And I was able to do that over the last 2 days, working with the governor, traveling with the governor to assess the impacts and hear from people that really are going to have a long road to recovery.
How does it work as far as pre-positioning assets? You know the storm is coming. You've got a number of states to try to get ready for. How did that work in this case, and is it playing out in the aftermath the way you'd hoped?
Yeah, it absolutely is, Shannon. I talked to the governor Friday before landfall to hear what his concerns were going to be, and then we started to pre-position resources to make sure that we were going to have what we needed in place. The biggest thing that we knew and what the governor's concern was being able to take care of the people that were going to be in the way of the storm's path, and so we pre-positioned the largest amount of search and rescue assets that I think we've ever put in place before, bringing together all of the federal family, our FEMA urban search and rescue teams, the Coast Guard, the Department of Interior, the Department of Defense. But this is just to complement the already really robust capability that Florida already had in place. Immediately following the storm's path, we were able to move these resources in support of the counties. They went in the wee hours of the morning to begin those search and rescue efforts, and they are still out there today. And that's just one of the resources. We also sent in commodities that pre-position them, and we're moving them out into the impacted areas as we speak.
The front page of the New York Times today talks about an issue in Lee County, hardest hit by this storm. They say there was a delay, an apparent violation of the meticulous evacuation strategy the county had crafted for just such an emergency. It may have contributed to...
This is how legends are born.